Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Tech Bites. I'm Kirsten Stoner. I'm happy to be here. I'm here again with my coworker, Rick Vanover. How are you doing today, Rick?
Hey, Kirsten, I'm doing great. And yes, I always keep asking you to join me back on these Tech Bites. Remember last week I put you under the bench press when it came to demos. I think you're going to return the favor to me today, yeah?
Yeah, I am. We are definitely going to migrate the demos to Rick today. So we're talking about a really important subject matter. It's in our Data Freedom series, Hypervisor migration. And what's really great about what we're going to demonstrate today is that this is a feature that's been in Veeam now for a long time. How long has it been in the feature set, Rick?
Yeah, so it takes a little bit of history, right? So instant recovery came in 2010, but instantly restoring or converting an image-based backup to a different target, that came in 2016, right, with some of the cloud targets. And then, Kirsten, you may even remember in Veeam 2019, I dunked the laptop in, right, and then we instant recovered it to a virtual machine, right? So these conversion techniques have evolved over time, and we call that data freedom. And it's, if you think about some of the market trends right now, it's more important than ever. And great attendance. By the way, hello, Randy, coming from the great state of Wisconsin, looking at those spotted cows. But it's a more important topic than ever, Kirsten. And I think we've got a really good story to tell here today.
Yeah, and what I also want to quickly add too is that this is also a feature that, as someone who works a lot in the tech community, it's also one of those features that's available in the community edition as well. So never locking you in, keep making sure that you have that data freedom, no matter, which vendor you use, right?
Indeed. All right, well, let's jump into it. This is a series we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit more about data freedom, and actually right at veeam.com. There's this little, I don't know what you call it, an orb, a ball. And by the way, when I move the mouse, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's moving with me, right? But the thought here is we want to protect your data everywhere. And, you know, this is our approach here. It's purpose built for all environments. And the outcome you get is relentless security, fast and reliable recovery. And really, you're not having to give up anything. And, the Tech Byte show is pretty quick, Kirsten. So in a moment here, we're actually going to do a conversion live on the stream here. I mean, you've done it before. It's really easy to do.
Yeah, I have done it. It is super easy to do, and it makes migrating your machines to different hypervisors or even to the public cloud really easy and reliable. And what's also really cool about this feature, if you want, maybe you're nervous about security, ransomware, you can also run before you migrate that machine that secure restore feature, so you can run that antivirus scan before you even migrate to make sure that your data is safe and secure, right?
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's a really good ad. And by the way, thank you, everyone. We've got a solid crowd here today. Question came in from Diego. He's wanting to migrate Hyper-V to VMware. And then should I do quick migration or instant recovery? So Diego, I'm going to do a scenario of that, and I'll walk through the differences here. But quick migration is a really good way to move things around when it's already on a hypervisor platform. Conversion is different, and that's where you want to look at the instant recovery techniques, and I'll show you that here in a second. So very good question. I picked that one up, and thank you, Felicia, for the relay. Now, Kirsten, there's some trends in the market. We love our research here at Veeam, the Industry Insights stream that happens on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Really highlights a number of market trends. Do any one of these stick out to you, Kirsten, on migration, data freedom, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I would say that first point there, 88% of organizations brought workloads back to their data centers, because we did see, especially with the pandemic, a lot of organizations moving workloads to the cloud. And so it's just very interesting to see, that not all workloads are suitable for the cloud, and they have to bring those workloads back to the data center. So kind of just, just that hybrid cloud environment. And I think that's just one of those interesting points. What about you, Rick? What do you think sticks
You
out to
took
you there?
mine. You took mine. So, at least for the topic of today. But I always
Yeah.
let you go first because friends, if you know Kirsten and I, she has to super prepare because I'll just like, I don't want to say throw her under the proverbial bus, but she never knows how these streams are going to go. But one thing I'll highlight here is that 91% of organizations from last year's report are running a production workload in the cloud. And while cloud's not the topic today, a lot of people are thinking about maybe now is the time to migrate to a cloud. But Veeam Data Freedom has super clear advantages, very broad coverage of our platform. The Veeam Data Platform is truly ready for anything. I mean, gone are the days when it's just one hypervisor backup. A lot of observability. That's a tough one for me today. In fact, the demo we're going to do here, Kirsten, we actually are going to anchor it around the observability. And any of you with keen eyes here, looking at my tabs, looking at my bottom, down here, Kirsten, what's an integral part of this story that I've highlighted there?
Really? So that is, monitoring, right? Not only is it important to protect our data, but it's also important to monitor it, make sure we have enough resources assigned to our hosts, our virtual machines, because they're running applications that are important to our business, and we need to make sure that they're operating how we need them to operate. And what is that phrase you say about Veeam One, Rick?
I guarantee you that Veeam One will tell you something about your environment that you didn't know, but you probably need to address.
Yeah, and that's really important to show off that capability as well when we think about migration.
All right, so enough talk. Welcome, Jeff. Welcome, Elizabeth, from north in Canada all the way down to Brazil. So, Kirsten, if I'm the scenario I wanted to do here today was to migrate some backups from physical or virtual workloads to Hyper-V. Before I do anything, where should I go and take a look?
Well, if it was me, I would go to the help center first. Just overview the process, get all my ducks in a row. Yeah, we do like to go for things right away. And that probably wasn't the answer you were looking for, but that's what I do. I like to read up and prepare before I actually perform the situation. But another great place is to, look at your Hyper-V in Veeam One, which you can monitor your hosts there.
Yeah.
And just make sure that everything is green, right?
Yeah, everything's green. I've got room for it, right? I'm not constrained on resources, right? It's a very safe answer. Check the documentation first, but I'm going to check Veeam One first. And so we're going to just jump right into it, friends. I'm going to take, let's see here. I have a physical workload that I did, and let's move it to Hyper-V. And by the way, if I want to convert something, so I'm going to take this system here. It could be on a virtual machine. It could be an image-based backup on another hypervisor. And if the scenario is moving it to Hyper-V, what I'm going to do is showcase a very small but powerful way to do these conversions. Okay, so we call it instant recovery, but it is converting whatever it came from to VMware or Hyper-V. I'm going to take a scenario of going to Hyper-V. Now, Kirsten, you highlighted a very important, pick a color, Kirsten, if you don't mind.
Red.
Red. That's a bad color historically, but I like it for this use case. I could also restore it to the public cloud, so AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. Kirsten, pick another color.
I would say blue.
Good one. I could also restore that same image-based backup, and this is, by the way, new in the Veeam Data Platform 12.1. I can restore it to Nutanix AHV, right? So this conversion, this data freedom is real. It is easy to use, and I'm going to pick pink because I'm going to pick it to go to Hyper-V. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to take this image-based backup and restore it to Hyper-V. Let's do it. All right. So just a moment ago, I did an incremental backup. It's, arbitrary on, what backup you choose. But if you've ever done an instant recovery, this is really familiar. I'm going to identify what host I'm going to do this recovery to. So basically, when I do this, what I call target host, that's where the instant recovery is going to go. Let's put it into O2. I have that one that I was looking at in Veeam 1, System Center VMM clusters, Hyper-V failover clusters, those are all supported. You have the opportunity to change the path, the storage and the allocation of these drives. That's Hyper-V talk for thin provisioned. If you're not familiar with Hyper-V, it's actually super resilient. Long story for another time. I can tell you the story about our lab in 2015 through just last year. The Hyper-V cluster never let me down. But anyways, I can also put this on a network. So I have a virtual network here that I'm starting from, and then I'm going to go to one. So I can assign that. This is the instant recovery technique here. Similar thing. I guess I could give it a better name than just the interface name. But basically, I choose the network. Now, what's interesting here is that it wants to take over a user, the unique identifier of an image, but when you convert, it's likely going to change anyways. And plus, I'm going to change the name. So Kirsten, give me a name, like a funny name here for this show.
Goose.
Goose. Because the geese migrate. Could that be your pun here today? Yes, I love that. All right. And, to Kirsten's comment here, if the nature of your migration is a cybersecurity incident, ransomware scenario, we can do the inline scanning upon the recovery. Now, that's not the use case here today, but just remember that is involved, or that is on the truck, so to say, here with our recovery. So now I'm being a little funny here. I'll say geese migrate and so do workloads. But when it comes to data freedom, I think if you're moving stuff around from one platform to another, I think it's a very good idea to document what's going on. Maybe a project, maybe a service desk ticket number, service desk. It's a Veeam term, help desk type of number, like a service ticket. Jeff liked the goose comment. So KGG, that one's for you. All right. So Kirsten, you've done instant recovery. You've seen this happen. I like to say nothing in Veeam is more than 7 clicks of a wizard. It's pretty easy, right? What's actually happening here when I do this instant recovery with a conversion?
Well, that's a good question, Rick. I think what's happening is it's booting the machine from the backup file, right? And then it is going to start the machine up in Hyper-V. And what's really cool is that Veeam stores its backup file as a VBK, and that's really where all this data freedom comes in, because it's always going to be stored as a VBK. And you might be able to provide a little bit more information on the file type, right?
Yeah, you're right on path here, Kirsten. And I guess a couple things that's coming on here. One is, it's identifying where the backup's coming from. But in Hyper-V speak, the virtual disk format is called VHDX. Earlier generation would have a VHD. Basically, Veeam is going to pre-allocate that, but it actually points into the backup repo, instant recovery magic stuff that we do. And basically, what I'll say here is that this is very much like instant recovery that where we get something running from the backup storage, but it's not fully allocated. And you can see it right here. It says waiting for user action. This is going to close the loop of an instant recovery task in the spirit of a conversion as well. Comment, very important, came in from Sean. Sean is saying about KubeVirt. Actually, you can do that now with KubeVirt to, Red Hat OpenShift, right? We can do that. Michael Cade may have written a blog about that. That's a little bit out of my area of expertise. Sean, but yes, Veeam backups can be used with KubeVirt, and that's a very interesting conversion scenario. It's not orchestrated and automated like this, but if you can handle KubeVirt, you can probably figure it out. But that being said, Kirsten, let's take a look over here, and you'll see that Goose is now running in Veeam 1, right? That's
Oh
a
my
good sign.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look
who
at
would have
that.
thought that was going to happen?
But are we done? That's my question to you.
No, we're definitely not done. And that's one of the
Yes.
things with instant VM recovery that you want to remember is that you do have an extra step. You need to make sure that you migrate that virtual machine. And that's important even if you're migrating or like even if you're, switching hypervisors or if you just are performing a regular instant VM recovery, to remember to take that additional step. And I think too, right, is there some options that you can choose from when you choose to migrate, like take the changes with me, leave the changes in the past. What are some of those different options?
Yep. So first of all, I want to draw your attention to this little right-click drop-down. Okay. So this is your control panel for that instant recovery task. And one thing I'll tell you right out of Veeam support, it's important to know that we're not done with an instant recovery task, conversion or not, because while it will keep running, and let's suppose you're doing an instant recovery because of a failure scenario, you want to get back up and running as soon as possible. But the image, the VHDX, has not been put on the Hyper-V server. It's still under management of the backup repository. So that very important step is right here, migrate to production. And basically, that image of the virtual machine, you'll see it's actually now doing the actual population of that VHDX, sorry. But the good news is it's running and is completely transparent to that. So if I open the console, and by the way, hope everybody knows that Veeam 1 is really good about having some nice kind of command and control functions for you here. I always joke that opening up a virtual machine console or doing hardware level reset stuff, it's actually easier and quicker to do in Veeam 1. But you can go and open up the console right here, and I should see a login screen. And let's hope I get this right. I can't talk and can't do passwords at the same
Great
time.
too,
But yeah.
like if you need to reboot a server too, right?
Oh,
Like you can just go to
absolutely.
Veeam 1 and reboot the server. So
Yep. So we got the console here on this one, and if I look over here, it is I think it's powered up. Well, I hope it's running. But we are moving this storage as we speak here. So it's moved 5% of this storage, 6%. But I should actually show you while this is moving in the background. This is actually a very good time, Kirsten, to talk about Veeam 1, and of course, it's hard to do it. It always times out on me. I should probably look. You had this last week, right? Where you tried to
yeah,
set
and
it
I've
up.
also definitely been on a demo where I've typed in my password repeatedly wrong
Yeah,
3 or 4 times, and I'm just like, come on.
Yeah. So I want to draw everyone's attention to this area right here, the Hyper-V capacity planning, infrastructure assessment, monitoring optimizations, and more. These are very good ways, very good reports that can give you some good information about this environment that you're going to potentially restore to, including some really good information here about clusters and uptime and performance. Actually, I want to really riff right here, Kirsten. Data stores, the storage management of Hyper-V, there's not as many tools on the market to assess that, but Veeam 1 is here to help. And I mean, Veeam 1's monitored Hyper-V, I want to say since 2015. It's been a very, very long time.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's take a look at one of these rendered reports we have.
Yeah.
You like the configuration report. What did you like about that one?
I like these reports because you can see how the machines are configured, how much resources are assigned to them, and what's being used. If you go also to the configuration assessment, it's the one that's all the way down. Yeah. This one's a really good one too, because this is going to take a look at your machines and identify any type of issues that might happen when you go to back up those machines. That might lead to an unsuccessful backup, or, even worse, maybe the machine doesn't restore properly. So this is going to basically say, hey, here are some things that you can fix in your environment, so that you can make sure your machines are protected. And it provides you with some recommendations as well.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And it'll then tell you which individual
yeah.
systems are the problem, right? So this is a very good precursor of some of the problems you may have when it comes to backing up these workloads. So if I go back to Veeam 1 real quick, you'll see that it says last protected never, and that's because I just restored it over here, right? But then to
Hmm.
close the loop, I want to back it up. The last thing is host uptime. I've had very good Hyper-V host uptime. Um, this is year to date is how I built this report. So it's like, try answering that sometimes. What's my uptime? Well, I have 99.94 update. Sounds like I did Hyper-V based Windows updates is what the takeaway is here for that one. So really cool stuff here. And the other thing I'll kind of highlight here, if I go back into the console, I think that console in the tab was just different. It's going to IPv6. Trust me, it's working, friends. I know Goose is working, but basically, and it's already done, by the way. So instant recovery has cleared out. So that storage just in that time has gone over and restored this system all the way to Hyper-V. So I think, Kirsten, this is like really, really cool and easy to do because I've done this. If I did this over here and someone else picked a name for it, so I actually take requests on these demos, on the previous time I did it. But when I'm looking at this type of recovery, Kirsten, is it truly just that easy to move over to a new hypervisor in case of Hyper-V?
Yeah, yeah, it's just, what did you say? A few clicks of the wizard. And what I would say is, once you move your machine over, check Veeam 1. Make sure, if you need to, make sure you're protecting your machines. Also, make sure you back up and take a backup before you migrate. That's also
Oh,
very
good one.
important, because you never know what's going to happen, like, in general. So I think that's also very good. So, but yeah, it's pretty easy process. And it's an easy process no matter where you're migrating to. If you're migrating to Hyper-V, if you're migrating to AHV, if you're thinking about moving that machine to AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, it's going to be a very similar process. And that's what's great about Veeam, is we like to keep it simple and reliable for you.
Yeah, and that's true. And that is our data freedom story. And I really encourage everyone, if you're thinking about migrating to another workload, do a drill like this where you can do a conversion from one hypervisor to another to the cloud, physical to virtual, physical to cloud. These are scenarios that the data portability story at Veeam can really solve some problems. And I'll go one step further, Kirsten, and I'll say data freedom and data portability is truly more important than ever. And there's a lot of reasons. There's market trends, there's the cloud, there's a whole bunch of distinct business reasons on migration. And this is the first of a series that we're doing. We're going to do this here to the Hyper-V hypervisor. Let us know in the chat if you want a different type of conversion to be shown and told. And we'll put that into the kind of the data freedom series. This is the first one. Comment from Abdul Ali. Sorry if I got the name wrong. Awesome Veeam demo. Thank you. We do these live, and I didn't practice because I was working on something else here this morning with the video team. But
Yeah.
Kirsten, anything you want to add here on data portability and data freedom?
No, I think we covered it all. But I'm happy that I was able to be on the Tech Byte stream again, talking about migration. And I think that we pretty much wrapped it up, Rick.
Yeah, and Ivor puts in a request to Nutanix migration. I will put that in the hopper, Ivor. I got to build a Nutanix cluster first, but I'll work on that. As we wrap, two important things. Number one, very big shout out, Jeffrey, Mark, Felicia, our production team. They are awesome. Could not do these shows without them. And Tuesday, the 27th, I want to encourage everyone to join the Industry Insights stream with Dave and Jason with episode 168, talking about BC and DR in 2024. Don't want to miss that one. Some additional insights from data protection trends. All right, everyone, on behalf of the Veeam video production team, the Veeam product team, thank you for joining today, and that concludes our stream.